Welcome back to WD MagicCast for the week of November 5th, 2023. This is episode 241. WD MagicCast, the show about the mouse, the Marvels, the galaxy, and beyond. I'm your host, Matthew Graken. In this week's show, we're talking music. And Matthew Leonard and I will be talking about some of our classic favorite Disney animated songs from before 1980, because let's talk classics and not the newer stuff. That's for another episode. Make sure also to join us on our social media networks, where we can be found everywhere at WD MagicCast, on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and also now on YouTube is every single episode. Yes, the almost entire library, except for a few that YouTube decided wasn't suitable, has been uploaded and is available to you for your enjoyment, in case if you want to listen over there, if that is your listening preference. Also, make sure to check out our TeePublic shop, where you can help support the show and find some really cool stuff for yourself to enjoy and wear around in public, or drink out of, or just use a throw pillow. And on that bombshell, now on with the show. Walt said that for his animated movies, or just movies in general, one of the key components that he thought about when he was coming up with the story is the music that would be going along with it. And like a fine song and a well-composed orchestra, I have Matt Leonard with us to discuss fine songs with well-composed orchestras. That, strangely enough, he didn't write any of them. Welcome aboard, Matt. How you doing?
Hello, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Emily wasn't available, so we asked you to come along.
Yes. She might appear later. We'll see. She might
Spoiler alert.
Soon. Oh, wow.
She's always welcome on, either just in passing or co-hosting.
She may not be coherent when she walks in, because she's had a long day, but
that's fine. We're never coherent either.
We're coherent. This is why I set a standard for the show, you know. So let's talk music. Let's talk Disney music. Let's talk classic Disney music. Let's talk classic Disney music before 1980s, and let's talk classic Disney music before 1980s entirely that are in classic animated films. What do you think?
I think I hear a top 5 coming along.
I think so too. Why don't you start? Because I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to say.
Oh my goodness! All right. This is hard to put in a top 5 because there's so many.
So many.
Strong.
I can literally get you like my top 2.5.
Yeah.
I can get you my top 2, and then my movie that has like. I have one movie that I'm like, that's a good one, that's a good one, that's a good one, like I could pick like the entire soundtrack from if I literally I could do like the entire soundtrack from Robin Hood and make that my top 5, and that's the end of the show. Good night, kids, we're done.
Well, then in that case, I'll start off with number 5 as Love from Robin Hood.
Oh, good, because that was going to be on my list. That was.
Oh, sorry, I just took one.
It's not, but please.
It's such a sweet and nice little moment in that movie of Maid Marian and Robin Hood kind of like rekindling, and as they're walking along and being playful, and it's just a sweet, nice number. The animation's beautiful, the music is soft and just fits perfectly, and it's a nice change of pace.
And it's such a simple and pure sentiment to it.
Yeah.
You know? And it also kind of, it gives you their relationship, the relationship between Marian and Robin. You know, love, it seems like only yesterday you were just a child at play, and now look at you, you're all grown up in front of me. And, once we watch the lazy days go by, now how the days, once we watch, I don't remember what the words are, but how the days seem to fly. Life is sweet, and when it's gone, love goes on and on. I mean, it doesn't get more simple and pure.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, it's such a great song. And then, of course, See, this is what I was saying to you just before we started recording was you have this nice, simple, sweet moment, and then immediately you hit on the tail end of that with this raucous number, with the King of England number.
Yes.
Which is raucous and silly and fun and an electric guitar in medieval England. We'll let that go. Yeah, right. But
had to first show up somewhere.
It's so, and Phil Harris's vocals, and it's a great song. So yeah, I can see why you'd put that on your list. Like I said, we could do the entire show just on
Robin Hood.
Robin Hood, and I that could be my top 5 right there. And it darker was, but I figured that would make for good conversation.
And like I said, it's a change of pace because all the other ones is more of a bouncy, energetic type of songs.
Yeah.
And that one's it's just so smooth and soft, and it's kind of, like I said, it's that transition going into the second act.
Well, it also sort of sits apart from some of the other Disney love songs. If you think about like Snow White and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and that kind of thing, where it's always like this idea that someday my prince will come, someday I'll find what I'm looking for. What's the one from I Know You, I Walked With You Once
Upon a Dream?
It's all these sort of very dreamy ideas of what love is and what love can be. But
looking for love.
Looking for love, whereas Marion is singing about like what's right in front of her, and
it's been there this whole time.
Yeah. To be reconnected with this man who she just adores, and it's about their friendship and her adoration for her, and that separates it, I think, from other Disney love songs.
Yeah. And I still say that's a very underrated movie.
Oh, absolutely. It's we've talked about this before on the show. It is my favorite Disney movie. It is by far, it's one of my favorite animated films of all time. It is my favorite Disney movie, and I will sit and watch that at the drop of a hat.
People will knock it because they recycled this and that, and that. Like, it doesn't matter. You could recycle bits and parts, which they do in movies all the time.
Yeah.
But it's, you still put together a good story and a good film with good animation, and just, in a time that the studio was hurting, still be able to put out something good.
At the time when the studio was hurting, they were repurposing. It wasn't. You know what I'm saying? They were being cost effective with their animation, rather than trying to figure it out from scratch. They took, they took from the 9 Old Men. They borrowed from the 9 Old Men, and they, and it's not straight up reusing this animation. They're reusing the poses,
Right.
It's not like Snow White suddenly appears in Robin.
And that's what I always thought was funny. It's okay. It's the same movements and stuff, but it's not the exact cell. It's, like you said, it's not Snow White. It's not Mowgli showing up, walking across on, a hill or something like that. It is okay. It's just okay. The sets and the movements and stuff, but it's not even the sets.
It's using the reference, and I got news for you. When they did Lion King, they were still using the reference from Jungle Book and some of those shows, because the reference was there.
It worked.
A library of that reference, so you'd be stupid not to go back and use Milt Kahl's notes and designs or drawings or any of the others. It's ridiculous. Frank Thomas and those guys. So, if you've got that resource there, you use it.
Right. So
we've gone away from music and talk about
the swan song to Robin Hood.
Cost-effective animation studio.
Your turn, sir.
Oh, poopy! I was afraid you were going to say that. Yeah, I'll go with something. So, I got one just because it's a little earworm and it gets stuck in my head, and I do tend to sing it from time to time. Little Black Rain Cloud from The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I will find myself at random times and at random moments, like you said earlier, it's just a happy, bouncy little song. Not really, it's weird. It's not even a happy. It's like a sad, bouncy little song. I'm just a little black.
It's a very bizarre, bouncy little song.
Hovering over, but it's sweet and I love it. I mean, it's classic Sherman Brothers.
Yep.
You can't fault the Sherman Brothers. They wrote some of the best.
Oh, they fantastic work.
Yeah, and so that's I just love that, and I love the animation Winnie the Pooh, Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, because it looks so rough. Like the lines are very rough, and I mean,
yes,
they're meant for the characters to look like illustrations, and
I was actually going to say the same thing about how I love the roughness of it.
Yeah.
It's rough and unfinished, where you have parts that instead of the background bleeding all the way through the screen, it kind of drops off and you get white borders.
Yeah,
you would have on a page,
because it's supposed to look like it's in a, like, really, it was always the Disney sort of thing, was just, the film would open with a close up on the book, and then the pages would open and you'd go into Pinocchio or you'd go into Snow White, and you'd have the film, and then at the end of the film the book would close. Whereas Pooh Bear, the book opens and the book is present throughout the entire film, and you see the words on the page, and the words of the page, when it rains, the words on the page get washed away, or that kind of thing. Or Pooh and Piglet are walking along and they come to the crease in the page and they have to sort of jump across the crease and go on to the next page.
Or when Tigger gets stuck in the tree and they turn it and he slides down the words. And it's interesting, if anyone has ever taken the time to actually read the words as the scene is happening, it's
those words.
It's that part.
It's great. Yeah. And is that Sebastian Cabot who narrates it, I think? The voice of Bagheera. I thought he narrates the Pooh Bear.
You probably are right.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those many that they reused a couple of times. Sterling Holloway they used a lot, and I just love his Pooh Bear, which is now Jim Cummings' Pooh Bear. But there's something that, and I, with all respect to Jim Cummings, there's something so pure and sweet about Sterling Holloway's reading. Jimmy comes close. Jim Cummings does a great job.
Jim does a fantastic job, but you're right. It's not
Sterling Holloway's, and there's just this unbelievable sweet, like, you want to hug Sterling Holloway's Pooh Bear.
He's just got this soft,
soft,
innocent
softness to it. There's a softness to it that's not quite.
And yes, Sebastian Cabot is the narrator.
Look at me. It's almost like I did my homework for this show.
Almost
like I did my homework for this show. Maybe. But yeah, so Little Black Rain Cloud. And of course, but the other thing that I use from that is, because I will, anytime it's gray and cloudy outside, I'll, tut tut, it looks like rain, tut tut, it looks like rain, and I'll say that.
I've done that.
And you know what? Before we go any further, I have to back up.
Or it's Wednesday.
When it's Wednesday. I have to say something, which I meant to say at the start of the show, which is that I have to give a shout out to my sisters, Shonda and Heather, for helping me, because we started talking about doing this the other night. And I got, as I said, I could do my top 2.5, and then I panicked, and I went, "There's stuff I'm not thinking of. There's stuff I'm not thinking of. I'm not forgetting." So I messaged both of my sisters and was like, "Talk me down off a ledge. Help me with what films am I?" And they were very sweet and very helpful, and they gave me a bunch of their favorites, none of which I'm using tonight, but I appreciate their input and their thoughts, and So I need to give a special shout out and a special thank you to my sisters, if they're listening to this.
Well, you have to make sure they listen.
Yeah.
I actually had because I was coming up with my list as well before, and I turned a page. I'm like, this is what we're talking about. Here's what I have. What am I missing?
Missing, right? Because you sit there and you're like, what films are you're talking about? We said pre 1980. Snow White was 37, 38?
37, I think, yeah.
37. And we said 1980. So you're talking 43 years of Disney movies, animated Disney movies.
And that was the kicker, because then we started naming songs like, but that's live action. And that one's live action. And that one, even though it's got animation in it, it's still technically live action.
We almost put Zippity Doodah. My sister was like, "Oh, Zippity Doodah." I'm like, "Yeah, that's a good one." And I was like, "Oh, no, that's."
And that was we said the same thing with the same song. It's like, "Oh, Zippity Doodah," not animated technically. Nothing out of Mary Poppins was possible. Bedknobs and Broomsticks are going to do that. So it's just like,
and it made it hard because like a lot, again, Mary Poppins is another one similar to Robin Hood, where like I could literally pick every song in that film.
There's not a bad song.
There's not a clunker in there. They're each and every one of them has its place. Even the oh my god, I love the scene with Glynis Johns and the shoulder to shoulder, the women's liberation song.
Oh yes. Great. Vote for women. Vote for women.
And then when they bring it back at the end in Steppin' Time, and it's such a funny scene.
Vote for
but we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. We're only talking about animated films tonight.
Just staying on topic. Staying on topic because
I'm very glad my daughter's not here with her little clicker to click how many times.
Keep count of. Because we need to whistle while we work.
Yeah. Oh, is that a lead-in?
Why not? Let's whistle while we work. How's that do for you? One of the first animated movies. We were just speaking of Snow White, so I might as well put in.
That was very well done.
That's what we call a segue, folks. That's what we call a segue.
Round.
So, yeah, whistle while you work. Get another one that's kind of like an earworm. Gets in, you get kind of into it, and it just kind of puts you in like a happier mood just once you start hearing it.
Sure.
And again, the scene where you get the dwarves starting to, not the dwarves aren't in this. All the woodland animals are starting to help out and clean up, so much so that they had to parry it in Enchanted.
And this is where Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs loses me, because she's cleaning up and she goes outside with the broom and she starts sweeping the forest, and I'm not sure what she's doing there. I understand she's a princess and she's led a sheltered life, but
she's only 13, 14.
Yeah, that dirt's not going anywhere, honey. I hate to break it to you.
Maybe she thought there was cobblestones underneath.
She's special, that Snow White.
Well,
yeah. But no, it's a very good song, and it's always fun to it's it set the standard for Disney sing with the animals, that sort of Dr. Dolittle thing that kind of comes up in a lot of Disney films, or that Cinderella does it too, where it's I've got my little woodland animal friends. But what I like about Snow White kind of being the first. What's fun about that scene is that the animals are animals. They're not
anamorphic.
They're anthropomorphized to a certain degree. They blush and they flirt and they whatever, but they don't talk. They're not wearing clothes. They're still very much woodland creatures. And I think because it's the first one, and they just haven't gone to that step of pushing the characters and dressing them up and doing kind of a Jacques and Gus.
They're not characters,
right?
They're just cast, ensemble cast for the most descriptive way that I can think of calling it. Yeah, that there isn't anything the deer is a deer. I mean,
Right.
yeah, they're doing chores and stuff, but they're not like you said. They're not anything beyond a deer,
Yeah.
and they're staying within their relative capabilities. Like the deer isn't walking on two legs, picking up stuff with its
Right.
front hooves.
They're not out there with like a orange vest and a little thing picking up trash in the forest and whatever.
Right, high
Or
visibility
they're not,
vests.
like, suddenly singing the song back to, they're not like harmonizing with Snow White or anything like that. It's
No,
literally her singing to the animals and
the
whatever.
chipmunks standing on the windowsill, putting their arms around their shoulder and swaying and singing along with her. Not
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, that I think that's a good fun little poppy song that comes in. It just, again, sometimes while I'm just walking around working, just pops into my head,
Well, you went.
especially doing laundry.
It's funny you should say that because I'm doing laundry now. You went light and fluffy for your second choice, so I'm gonna go the other end of that spectrum. I'm gonna go a little
Dark and foreboding.
dark and foreboding and scary, and I'm gonna go with that Bing Crosby classic, The Headless Horseman.
Ooh, not what I was expecting, but nice.
Where did you think I was gonna go?
Cruella de Vil.
Oh no! See, my sister suggested Cruella de Vil, but I'm not a big fan of 101 Dalmatians.
It's all right.
It's one of those movies that's never clicked with me. But Headless Horseman. Well, I was gonna say which is the Tale of Ichabod Crane and Mr. Toad, and I have a love-hate relationship with the Tale of Mr. Toad because I'm a huge Wind in the Willows fan, and I love it. And unfortunately, because I love the book as much as I do, I kind of don't like the Disney version because it's very.
I've somehow separated them in my head as being two completely different things.
And I can do that with How to Train Your Dragon, which is the same way. But I don't know. Maybe there's something about. There's something about.
For me, what did it is because I'm such a huge fan of the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride from the Magic Kingdom.
Sure.
Rest in peace. That was always one of my favorite rides as a kid, and I did that before I saw the movie.
Okay.
So I associate the movie with the attraction and not the book that there's much better adaptations.
I'm a huge fan of the book. But we were talking about Ichabod Crane, and the thing for me, the thing for me is, and again, we were just talking about this before the show, or before we were recording, that my grandparents lived in Tarrytown, New York. My mother went to Sleepy Hollow High School, home of the Fighting Headless Horseman. I mean, it was the school mascot was the Headless Horseman.
Nice. Wow. That's cool.
They have, or at least had at the time, in the sort of the parking lot, or there was a road that led up around the high school, and they had painted, horse hooves, that sort of school spirit, quite literally school spirit kind of thing. So I grew up very closely with the story of I spent Halloweens in Sleepy Hollow, and in Tarrytown.
You can't get much cooler than that.
And know the area, and know. I mean, it was like yearly. It was like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer for some people. You watch the classic film. That was the same with us and Sleepy Hollow, Legend of Sleepy Hollow. That story got told, not just at Halloween, but like year round. So for a very sentimental reason, and then of course, you got Bing Crosby singing it. You can't get better than that.
No.
And it's funny because as distant as Wind in the Willows is from the Tale of Mr. Toad, Disney's actually fairly faithful to the story of Ichabod Crane and the Tale of Ichabod Crane and Brom Bones and Katrina Von Tassel. That's all there, and it's properly, the whole thing is properly good and scary and still kind of Disney fun at the same time. and it's a great song. The hip, I love the sort of rhyme scheme, the hip hip and a clippity clop. That he'll come looking with a chop chop. I mean, it's that sort of it almost has a sort of Halloween
yeah,
sort of quality
rhythm
in 1940s 1940s Disney. Bing Crosby doing it. So that's my next pick. And like I said, far removed from your pick of Snow White. So, what do you?
No, good choice. So my next one.
Yeah.
My next one.
It's hard. I'm making things hard for him.
Yeah.
Say the first thing that comes to mind. 3, 2, 1, go.
Swing seat. That's all, folks.
Yeah, that's the end of the show.
Sing, Sweet Nightingale.
Oh, from Cinderella.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, just the presentation, the attention to detail in the animation with the bubbles, and it starts off with the stepsisters really just messing up everything. Mm-hmm. Hello, person in the background. And then it just transitions to Cinderella just, scrubbing on the floor and the bubbles floating in the area. And then as she's harmonizing with herself, you see that reflected in the bubbles. It's just visually beautiful. And the singing is just fantastic. And again, a simple song, but just pulls you right in.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a really good. That was another one that was that one that my sisters were considering? I don't remember.
Maybe. It's not like one of the main songs, so a lot of people forget about it.
Yeah,
in there.
I'm trying to find the conversation now to see if that was one that I feel like that was one that one of my sisters might have suggested we use. So I'm glad it's on the list because now it sounds like we made it that a thing. I'm having trouble pulling up the chat, but yeah, that's a great pick. That's a good pick. It's a pretty song. It's a very pretty song. And I've become a parrot for some reason. I'm noticing that I'm repeating everything I say. I apologize. You can cut me out of this episode if you want, or cut like half of what I say out. Should I do my next one?
You should do your next one.
I think I'll do my next one.
Because I couldn't think of something witty enough to follow that up with.
No.
So you do your next one.
I'm going to go back to where you were back at the beginning. You kicked us off with Love from Robin Hood. And I said at the beginning I could pick the entire soundtrack from Robin Hood and we could just discuss that. And that would be my top 5. And I wrestled with, because there's so many good ones in there. I mean, Not Nottingham is such a beautiful song. We mentioned Phony King of England, which is such a fun song. But I love Oodalolly.
Oodalolly. Oodalolly, yep.
It's an earworm. It's one of those things, it plants itself in your head and just sits there for days on end, and you will walk around whistling it. Written by the country singer, written and performed by the country singer.
I was going to say, he performed it too.
Yeah. And he wrote Not in Nottingham, he wrote and performed that as well. Both of the songs he performed in the film. He also wrote, and I love the song where the first part of it, which is Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest, laughing back and forth with what the other said, and they go off, and then later on it sort of repeats, and it's now Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest. Fence just dodging trees and trying to get away. And it's such a wonderful book. It sort of bookends itself so wonderfully and beautifully there that it just repeats. And this is just it also establishes the relationship between John and Robin.
Yes.
Before either of those characters has even said a word, you get a real sense of who they are from the song and from their animation and the way they are with each other. They bow before they come to the bridge and he bows and then the other one bows and they go across the sort of Three Stooges thing. They go across at the same time and knock themselves off, and they're frolicking in the water together. And then as they're being shot at by the sheriff's men. They're, just totally by each other's side, and they're in this through thick and thin, no matter what. It gives you that relationship is established, 30 seconds into the film.
It establishes a relationship, and it establishes the change in times of what life was before, and now that Prince John has taken over, what things have changed too.
Yeah.
So it does a lot in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. And like I said, just like I said, any of the songs from Robin Hood, one of my favorite Disney films, and it's when the kids are sick, when my daughter is sick, it's the go-to film for us, or for her anyway.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Speaking of, did you watch Once Upon a Studio yet?
I did. That was so beautifully done.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And because I was thinking of the part with Jim Dale when he kicks that that final moment.
Yeah. I love
it's just so beautiful.
He's like, from when I was a kid, Alan Adale was always
Alan Adale. Sorry, yes.
One of my favorite characters. So I was so thrilled to see him in there and to see him have this nice little moment that was his. Yeah, it was. You and I know this. We're sitting here, we're talking about Disney films, and as you know, I don't dislike Disney, but I'm not like a Disney guy the way you are a Disney guy. You're a Disney guy.
Yes.
You go to the theme park every year, every other year, whatever it is. I haven't been to Disney World in like 20 years, and I'm okay with that. I've seen it. I've done it. If I ever go back, it'll be nice, but I probably won't ever go back. But
your daughter's trying to make that otherwise.
Yes. But I watched the Once Upon a Studio thing, and it was really sweet. I was touched by it, in a way that I really wasn't expecting to be touched by it. It did find that little childlike part of me. So give credit to them.
Yeah. But I talked enough about that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So moving right along.
No, that's the thing I am a big fan of. But we'll move. Yeah. What do we got? What's your next?
First
thing that comes to mind. 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, I keep wanting to save this one because I have a feeling you may want to say this one, but I don't know if I should go ahead and say it anyway.
Doesn't know what it is.
Bare Necessities.
Oh, you do not say the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay, Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes.
Yeah, oh, very good. Very good. Very good. Much better. We'll edit that out later. We'll fix it in post.
Yes.
What's that? Dream is a Wish? Is that Snow White? See, I don't even remember anymore.
Sleeping Beauty. Isn't it?
No,
it is Snow White.
See, this is... Pick another one. Pick one we know what it's from. Is it from Cinderella?
Well, I remember which movie it's for.
My daughter is telling me it's from Cinderella.
It probably is.
Oh my God.
Because my daughter's the one that said it. I know the song.
There's three of us here, and we have no idea what the song is from. All three of us are.
Doesn't matter what movie it's from. It's a beautiful song. It's midnight, folks. It's been a long day.
Wow. This is the worst moment in the history of this show.
I mean, would you like to come and join us?
Oh my God.
And say we're sorry.
Emily's raising her hand in victory. No, she's telling me. That's all right, Emily. We can cut it. We can edit. Cinderella! Jesus. Apparently, yes, it's from Cinderella. We were both
that's what I said.
Oh, that's what
I said. Cinderella.
Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes from Cinderella. Oh. So tell us.
I know that because how many times one of us work at the Disney store and this song would play and the video would be playing.
So tell us, please, why is Dream Your Wish Your Wish? Oh God, I don't even know the show.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Oh, good night, Gracie. Oh, beam me up, Scotty. Oh. Should we just go back and do this whole part of the show over again? Oh, God. Oh, not since you introduced the end of year program for 2022 as the end of year of 2002. Have we?
Maybe I should do these shows earlier.
New rock bottom. Striving for quality. So tell us, please, why is a dream a dream is a wish your heart makes your favorite song from Cinderella?
Well, because they use it in so many other things too, though.
Like Snow White and Sleeping Beauty.
Exactly. No, you know what it is.
No, it's the same. It's like When You Wish Upon a Star. It just it's timeless. It's timeless.
And it can be attributed to so many other like moments. And for me, walking down Main Street, USA, in the Magic Kingdom at night, where like, it's dark out, but all the exterior lights are on.
Yeah.
And even if it's not the song playing in the background, it's the song playing in my head as I'm just walking through the park at closing time. Everything's shutting down, but there's just this kind of chaotic peace.
Yeah.
And just to think, and like you said, I'm a Disney person. That the parks is kind of my home away from home, or my home that when I'm at my physical house, I'm away from. It's just the lyrics to it, it just kind of the sentiment of it. It just is so calming and so thought provoking, and just kind of that innocence.
Right. And I think what's interesting there, and I really hadn't thought about it until just now when we were talking about it, is that, we were talking about sort of the song we were talking about earlier from Robin Hood, where it's this song about love, that sort of someday my prince will come type song. But if you look at the lyrics to this one, as you said, it really could be about anything. While obviously in context, she's singing about, finding Prince Charming,
finding the one and everything like that.
But you said, you walk down the street of you walk down Main Street in Disney World. That's what the theme park is about. It's just, this is what does your heart want? And it doesn't always have to be the girl or the guy or true love. It's what drives you.
What is your dream?
Yeah. What is your dream? What do you dream of? What makes you real? What connects your head to your heart?
Yeah, because it's a song about whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. I've never really put it in that context before. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. This is eye-opening for me. And now I know it's from Cinderella, which is
If my daughter actually listened to this, and she'd be beating me with the book.
Cool. Next time on WD Magic Cast. Should we move on to mine? I actually know what mine's from. My next one.
Frame Roger Rabbit.
No, I was gonna go with Baby Mine from Dumbo.
Wow. Okay, I have that one here too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Should I not talk about Baby Mine from Dumbo?
No. I kind of left it as a hanging possibility, but okay. I know what my top one is, and it's I think it's obvious. But yes, no, go ahead.
Okay. See, now I'm curious. I have a feeling I know if it's that obvious. I think I know where you're going.
You probably do.
My number 2 is Baby Mine from Dumbo, because you can't get more beautiful than that. It's easily the most beautiful song ever put into a Disney film, and such a tender moment and such a beautiful moment. And it's funny because it's something you feel and you understand. You understand that moment as a kid watching the movie from Doug's perspective, being what it's like being held by your mother, and you understand it from a whole other perspective as an adult when you're holding your daughter or your son.
Yes.
And you think of that song. And it's absolutely, it's really the most beautiful song, written by Frank Churchill and Ned Washington, sung by Betty Noyes, and of course covered by several others, Glenn Miller, Les Brown, and of course Bette Midler. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful song, and easily the most beautiful song put into any Disney movie, classic or modern.
When we were in the process of trying to get paid and stuff, and we're going through all the paperwork, and I would be driving in the car, and this was one of the songs I would put on to just mentally prepare myself for parenthood.
Yeah.
And just the journey ahead, and just kind of summing up the joy I felt in my heart.
Yeah. It's a great song. Why are you laughing at me?
No, I just because like I said, I create a whole bunch, create this long list, and you've ticked off a number of the same songs, because the first song I put on my list when I was writing my list. All right, first song I'm putting on here, no particular order. First song comes to my head, Little Black Rain Cloud. 4 songs down, Baby Mine.
Nice.
So, the last one I put on the list was Love from Robin Hood. So it's just like,
well, I should have known. You and I have talked about Robin Hood.
Oh yeah,
constantly. I mean, that's a constant in our friendship, both on the show and long before the show. It's the conversation. It's like one of those things that you and I keep coming back to. Look, when you and I run out of things to say to each other, we start talking about Robin Hood. It's that. Mm-hmm. So I should not have been surprised that you would have put a Robin Hood song on yours, and you knew that I was going to put it on mine, because, like I said, that entire soundtrack, I could have that entire soundtrack could easily be my top 5.
So what's your number 2?
That was my number 2.
That was your number 2. That's right.
You've been listening to this show.
Sorry, I just got the song caught up in my head.
Number 1, Matt.
My number 1, I'm torn between 2. But I kind of slipped one, and I kind of I'm not going to bring it back up. So my number 1 is When You Wish Upon a Star.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, without a doubt,
it almost has to be.
Right.
And that was on my backup list too. Like, well, if he doesn't mention it, I will. Yeah, it has.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna mention it, but I'm gonna put it on anyway. And then when you had me going first, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take it.
It's very similar to Dream as a Wish Your Heart Makes. It's that same sentiment, really. It's what connects your head to your heart, and I think that a theme in a lot of. I think that's the thing about Walt Disney. Certainly the early films, and I think your peek into Walt Disney's mind was that he sort of connected, it was that idea of what connects your head to your heart. And that's in a lot of his films and in a lot of his work, what he loves and what drove him and what made him work, for better or worse, because I know that there are some, but that was, at the end of the day, that was, what drove him and sort of his philosophy, or the philosophy behind a lot of his work. And you see that in a lot of his shorts, a lot of his films, the theme parks, certainly, that idea, that merger of the two. So yeah, absolutely. That I nothing else really could be your number 1.
No, and Cliff Edwards, I believe, sings it.
Oh yeah, and of course that voice, Cliff Edwards' voice. Again, such a purity to that voice.
You can't replace it.
Yeah.
I mean, people can do their renditions of it and everything like that.
He's like one of the few voice actors who's been named a Disney legend. Like it's the main, the main actors who have played Goofy, Donald, Mickey, and Minnie, the Disney princesses, and Cliff Edwards. As far as the voice actors go, that's it.
I mean, Jiminy Cricket grew so beyond one of the few first characters to grow beyond their movie.
Right.
And become kind of a symbol for the Disney company and be used in so many other things. And it's just, again, that song did the same thing. It grew beyond that movie to kind of represent the company in itself. And again, used in so many different things.
Right, the old Disney Films logo opening,
or
even their Wonderful World of Disney always literally started with that,
Even their cruise ships that they got permission for their cruise ship horns to be "When You Wish Upon a Star."
I'm kidding.
I am not kidding. Look it up. You hear blasting out of this ship with thousands of people on it.
That's great.
So it's again been a song that just kind of encompasses the Disney company, and it's synonymous. It's become synonymous with the whole company, and like you said, it's hard for it not to be on a list. It would be in doing the song injustice.
Yeah,
if you did not include
I almost called you and asked if we needed to do another favorite Disney songs that aren't "When You Wish Upon a Star." Because right, we couldn't do this. We couldn't do this recording tonight without putting that one in there somewhere. Certainly. Out of curiosity, what's the other one? Because you were debating between two. What's the other one you had?
The one I said before, and you said not to.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll close out with that.
I'm not influencing. I'm whatever.
That's my top pick. If you were to ask me what's my favorite Disney song of all time, that's my top pick, and that would be "The Bare Necessities" from Jungle Book, as performed by the great Phil Harris. I love that song. I love the sentiment of it. Forget about your worries and your strife. Just, whatever. Just go with what you need. It's very sort of Zen Buddhist in a way. The bare necessities. Please. And there's one specific set of lyrics in there that I love. Oh, when he said, just try and relax, fall apart in my backyard. Because let me tell you something, little britches, if you act like that BX, you're working too hard. And then he goes, then don't spend your time looking around for something you want that can't be found. It's a great piece of advice. And yet a really, really hard piece of advice to follow. But when you think of it, you're like, oh yeah, that's be cool, And
I love the dance, the scene, and everything. Mowgli trying to imitate Baloo.
Yeah.
And Baloo's like ripping up trees and scratching his back with it.
Baloo is one of my favorite Disney characters.
I love Baloo. I absolutely adore it.
Again, as you know, I'm a huge Jack Benny fan, so I consequently, and within that, Phil Harris was one of my favorites on the Jack Benny program, and I love him in all of the Disney movies that he voices, and then of course I love the character when Ed Gilbert played him on Tailspin. I continued my love for the character.
Yeah,
it's a favorite character, and that character is defined by the bare necessities, It just defines that character, it defines everything about him. And
that and I Want to Be Like You, dressing up in a grass skirt in coconuts.
And the other one, I was like one of the ones that was kind of almost on my list was Thomas O'Malley from the Aristocats. But I went, oh, it's so, the sentiment in that song is so close to Bare Necessities. We should just go with Bare Necessities. Just put it there. But yeah, that's it. That is my all-time favorite Disney song.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to take that from you. I just want to quickly add that speaking of covers of songs, they came out for the 100th anniversary a new version of, well, not a new version, but a cover of When You Wish Upon a Star by Sarah Bareilles, but it's done just so like a powerful orchestral piece, and just at the end it kind of just like really sucks you in. But again, just that song is synonymous with Disney. It's the song that they decided to redo for the 100th, and it's Bare Necessities, one of my favorites. Again, Jungle Book also being one of my favorite Disney ones. That song is just fantastic.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to discussing the following 40 years or 60 years of Disney music.
Yeah, well, this was your idea of an episode to do, and I truly appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Let me know when you want to do part 2, and we'll figure time.
Absolutely. We will be probably discussing that soon. But I always say this, and then 2 years goes by,
and I'm okay with that too.
Just like our Ahsoka review, which will be coming shortly. Don't worry, we didn't forget about it.
We're going to talk about Ahsoka. Emily just went to bed. She's had a long day, but I think sometime in the near future we will discuss Ahsoka with my daughter. We've been waiting for her. She's the holdout.
Absolutely. It's all right.
Who are wondering, you can all blame my daughter. Right into the show.
and it will be worth it whenever it comes around.
Yeah, it will.
All right. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
What are some of your favorite Disney songs? Let us know. Join the conversation on our social networks. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we're found just about everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, X, whatever you want to call it, YouTube, all at WD Magiccast. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can listen to the show there as well as whatever your favorite podcatcher is. If you want to leave us a voice message, you can do this over at the Spotify website, Spotify podcast website, or through the Spotify podcast app. I know your time is limited and everyone is busy in their lives. We're very busy, but the fact that we get to spend some of this time together means a lot to me. Means a lot to us over here at WD Magiccast. We really appreciate you and really thank you so much. If we could just ask one more favor of you, please share out a link on the social networks. Let people know that you're listening to the show, that you enjoy the show, where they can find the show. Or go over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave us a rating and review. We have all 5-star reviews at the moment. Keep them coming. We need more. The more reviews that we get, the more those podcatchers will do to promote our show as well as you doing it. While you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the show. This way you always know when new episodes are posted. The more people that listen to the show, the bigger we can do, the bigger we can get. Walt believed in a big Disney family, and so do I. While you're at it, consider becoming a premium subscriber, truly helping the show out. You can do this over at spotify.com/WDMagiccast/support. Find the links to all these and our socials in the show notes, as well as the links to our merchandise shop, where again, you could get yourself, hey, it's fall, get some nice sweatshirts, hoodies with the logo on it, coffee mugs. You could use those for hot chocolate as well. Anything is good in there. And you get something good out of it, and you help your favorite podcast out as well. Because remember, this show is brought to you by listeners like you. Whatever you're facing out there, whatever dark times, whatever is troubling you, don't give up on yourself. You are worth it. You are someone special. There's only one person like you, and there's a good reason, because this world needs someone like you. It may seem hard, it may seem troubling, and you may not believe it. But someone believes in you, and someone else out there needs you as well. Never give up, never give in up. on yourself. Be your own hero. And let your light shine for the entire world to see. And I'd like to end the show with a quote from Walt Disney himself. I like symphonic music. A good concert, if you're kind of relaxed, it can do something to you. It's sort of an emotional break you get by listening to the music. Again, that's from Walt Disney. Thank you again for listening, everyone, and I'll see you next time.